If you've ever wondered how music, sports, and purpose all connect, today's episode is for you. I'm sitting down with Iman Tucker, an Indy-based DJ and producer who's also a fashion designer and the official DJ for the Colts, Pacers, and Indiana Hoosiers. We talk about how sports culture influences music, what AI means for creativity, moving forward and having faith, and being honest with yourself, and how that might be the most important skill you can develop. This conversation is real, reflective, and packed with gems. Let's tap in. Thanks for making some time to come on, Iman. You're the man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sherman the Booth. We're here with my man, Iman Tucker. We are in Fishers, Indiana. They're not going to be able to see most of this room, though, but we're in a very nice space right now. What is this, like, apartment complex? Is this new?
Yeah, this is brand new. So the city of Indiana is really trying to encourage young people to want to be here.
Yeah.
And with that, always has to be amenities.
Dude, it is so crazy how much Indy has blown up since, like, I left 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Fishers, Noblesville,
Zionsville.
I mean, I know. Yeah. Zionsville, of course, where I'm from.
Everything outside of 465 is just taking a new life of its own.
It really has.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So technically, I guess I should say I grew up in Seymour, Indiana, because that's where I graduated high school.
Okay.
So it's like southern Indiana, like real country stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know Seymour. Do you know a guy named Bobby Kaufman?
I do, yes.
You know Bobby Kaufman?
Howard Kaufman's his government name.
No way, sure Howard Kaufman. That's right, bro. Holy shit. That's some Indiana shit right there.
Shout out Bobby Kaufman.
Shout out Bobby. He worked at my company in logistics. Really good dude. We hit it off, and he lives in Charlotte now. I think he just got married.
Wow, congratulations, man.
Yeah, he's going to be laughing when he's I have to send this to him, bro.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part about the Midwest and Indiana is, like, there is always one way to know someone.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of the Midwest, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't get that everywhere.
Do you feel like that's the case in Chicago?
Yeah, I do. That's why I love Chicago so much. Like, I just did like a self-interview actually where I'm promoting my show January 10th at Garcia's in Chicago. Never stopped promoting. And I like ask myself these really like sort of big questions, and it was like an oral diary entry. I don't know if you've ever done something like this. But I asked, like, what does Chicago mean to you? What has the last 10 years been like? Like, what's the importance of this show? And I ended up really, like, processing, like, why Chicago is such a good place for me, because it's a very welcoming breeding grounds for artists. And I think while there are a lot of doors closed in the music industry and industries in general, Chicago's a place where the door's actually probably unlocked. You just have to knock. A lot of people see a closed door, and they go, I'm not going in there. It's like, no, you actually should. The door's closed, but it doesn't mean it's not able to be opened. And I think in Chicago, it's really, really cool how the artist community supports each other. And now there are so many fans that become DJs that are fans. So it's a very, very welcoming, like, let's help each other type vibe. And I know this person for this reason. I know that person for this reason. Let's all be friends.
Yeah, and I actually, to that point, when I first really got into music, I was spending time on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. I was spending time on the West Coast to really try to get that essence of what DJing is out there.
Yeah.
But one thing I have noticed is whenever I would get back to the Midwest, and I kind of consider Chicago somewhat still the Midwest.
Oh, for sure. Heart of the Midwest, yeah.
Whenever I would drive up and I would say, hey, I'm a DJ, this is what I do, it took very little proof or credibility for people to be like, I'm interested in having you a part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that is the piece like that always reminds me of that Midwest thing of like, they're really willing to prop up their talent before the talent goes.
Well said. Yeah, and I feel like too in a lot of big cities, and you can experience this in Chicago, sometimes it's like your city will be the last city to support you. And I think there's some truth to that, but I feel like on the come up, like, people love to say, this guy made it out of Indy, this person made it out of Chicago, East Coast, wherever it is. And, like, that's kind of a goal that I work towards is, like, even though I'm from Indiana, but I'm building a name in Chicago, Chicago's my home, I want to be, like, the artist that came out of Chicago, like that next generation of artists, like, going back to, like, Louis the Child and Weathen and DJs like that, like, hopefully one day they'll say, yeah, Sherm, class of 2026, Chicago, he graduated, he made it, and it's been such a grind and such a journey, but it's given me everything, man. The Chicago scene is beautiful. Yeah. Where'd you go on the East Coast then?
So technically I was born in North Carolina.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. So I rep North Carolina, but I think for me, the part of the East Coast that has always inspired me the most is like that DMV, like go-go style music.
For sure.
A lot of rhythm and soul into it.
Yeah.
And then even more so, like as you kind of dip down into Louisiana, like the jazz scene out there, like those have always been sounds that have resonated with me.
Yeah.
And so, like whenever I'm there, it's like, let me just soak in all of that culture.
A lot of soul.
Yeah.
Bro, and you got a lot of soul. Wait, we didn't even start by mentioning this jacket was designed by Iman. It is being sold at Assembly Hall. Yeah. And brother, like, I feel like this jacket, like just actually, it almost explains you to a T, right? Like it's unique, but it's got soul and it's different, but it blends in. And like, dude, like when I saw you design this, and I saw your designs over the course of the few months where you were planning it, and watching that process was really, really cool, by the way. Like, amazing job with like the storytelling aspect of it. Can you like tell us how this actually jacket came together?
I mean, I should have had you promoting the jacket from day one.
That was good. Yeah, you like that?
He said always promoting, but I think you've said it. I mean, you captured the essence of what the jacket was about.
Yeah.
So with my DJing career, with anything I've ever done creatively, it's always started with an idea and a vision. And when I learned about like kingship and the way that kings used to operate, like they would write their plans and their visions down on a wall.
Wow.
And so when that jacket first happened, it was just in a notepad that we were drawing it out and saying like, this is what we want. Like, how do we speak to the essence of Indiana being very subtle, very simple, but then also like there's so much hidden creativity and talent here and also history here.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I'm all just really passionate about. And so then over the time, it was just like one step, add this piece, add that piece. How about we raise the stars instead of making them flat? Just all these little intimate details.
Exactly.
We got the jacket created, fully created, and we still didn't even have anybody that wanted to purchase it yet, like to pick it up, the jacket. But then luckily, or thankfully, Campus Inc. out of Chicago.
Campus Inc. based out of Chicago? I
Based
didn't
out
know
of
that.
Chicago,
There we go.
They said, hey, come on up to Chicago someday, show us it, and let's see what we can do. And then before then, everything just started going crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's so sick. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy you wore it, man, but I'm also glad I thought about wearing mine today, but that would
Yeah, we were going to be matching. That would have maybe been a little much. We would, yeah, but one day we will.
Podcast uniform or something?
Yeah, podcast uniforms. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, but going back to, you know, where you're from and like creativity, not to ask like a big question, but like, do you remember early on in your younger years being like, I feel like I have a creative itch that I need to scratch? Where did like that first start for you?
Yeah, definitely remember. And I actually think that MySpace was the thing that did it for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go. What was your song?
Back then, my song would have probably been like Riding Dirty by Chameleon.
100%.
Something from Ace Hood.
Yeah.
Gosh, Tyga. I used to love Tyga.
Me
back
too,
then.
dude. I did used to love Tyga. He's got one of the best rap voices of all time.
Yeah. And so I think like even back then, like all the customization that you could have to your page. And if you learned HTML, you could add even more customization to your page.
Wow.
And so that was just a season where I was so curious. I think I've always just been a curious person, but I was curious in like how we can make these little tweaks to make my page represent who I am better.
Yep.
And I remember I had like I had made in a Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant style page that you could scroll through.
That's so sick.
And from there, I think what I learned is that whether I knew HTML or not, whether I knew design or not, anything can be learned. Like anybody is qualified to learn anything if you actually put the energy and effort into it.
Absolutely.
And so then as I got sharper at it, I started modding video games, like putting Camaros in Sims and just random stuff like that. And
whoa.
Yeah, it seems complicated when I say it now, but like it's just one step at a time, just learning little tiny nuances of it, and then before you know it, I got snipers and Sims. So,
damn, bro. So you were doing stuff like literally in the back end.
Yeah, on the back end, yeah.
That's impressive. How old were you when you were doing that?
I was probably 12, maybe.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all had a friend like that was like somehow able to hack the mainframe.
Yeah, and I think for me, like I was in sports. But when I would go home, like I wasn't necessarily interested in the social life that came from being just a kid. I was just curious. And so you're hanging out with the athletes of the day, but then I was a nerd behind closed doors.
Bro, this all makes sense why we get along, because that is exactly how I was.
Yeah.
I was literally like the lacrosse player who like loved Dragon Ball Z. And I mean, I actually was talking about this with my buddy last night. He's one of my oldest friends, and we were just always telling old stories. And I had this point in my life when I was trying out for the 7th grade basketball team, okay? Like, my goal was to be in the NBA. Like, that was my dream when I was a kid, which was so funny to look back on now because I think I had a 16-inch vertical on my best day, you know? I was fucking 5'7" at that point. I only made it to 5'10", bro. But I didn't make the team. And I remember it was a sad day. I walked out of the gym crying. Like, I already went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought the green Nike Shox from back in the day, bro. Like, or whatever the basketball shoe was then.
That matched the school colors.
Matched the school colors, yeah. And I was like, okay, I did it. I made it. I'm on. I think it was JV, and they told me I was on the bubble or whatever. And you realize actually in a lot of these small towns, like a lot of it is politics actually. But that's besides the point. That was like a time in my life where if I would have made that team, I probably would have continued to pursue basketball. I would have had different friends. I would have had a different path. I would have had maybe a different life partner for all I know. You know what I mean? And lacrosse, I don't want to say it was like the rejects or whatever, but like it was a lot of the people who didn't play basketball or football. You know, like it was hockey players, right? Like is a popular sport, but not popular in Indiana like basketball or football. And the lacrosse players, like I met a lot of new types of people. I traveled all over the country. I played on summer league teams. I was much better at the sport than I ever thought. My brother was a very, very decorated lacrosse player, younger brother. He went to DePaul. He was the all-time point leading scorer for assists and goals. Absolute stud. My mom helped start the lacrosse program in Indiana for women's. She's been a coach for almost 25 years. And so it was a big part of my life. And the point that I'm saying is like, you go back and it's crazy to think to like these little moments in life in which you ended up taking that path. And you just have to be grateful for where you ended up because to plan so much in advance, like, dude, could you ever expected that like this jacket would happen with Assembly Hall?
I mean, even before then, like if I would have said like my goal was to be a sports DJ.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really have an infrastructure at IU. It didn't even exist.
Exactly.
So I definitely understand what you mean, especially as a creative and somebody just wants to just try hard and be excellent at things. That overwhelming feeling we just give ourselves by trying to plan too far in advance.
Yeah.
And it's like, has anybody's life really played out the way that they expected it to or
No.
they planned it to?
No, I mean, there's a quote, I mean, life is busy, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I was like the sport, like I love sports, still love sports, but I have this like creative side that needs to be fulfilled in a lot of different ways, whether that's through like anime or like video games or like music production or podcasting. I try and just like not suck, but I try and like absorb everything out of life that I possibly can. Like I love the world that we live in today despite all of its flaws. I think technology is beautiful. You know, we want to talk about AI. I think AI is amazing. I think that we have access to so much information, which might seem overwhelming, but you know me, bro, I'm a glass half full guy, right? Like I think everything is an opportunity, even when it might look like a challenge. So I love what you said that like, you know, I was a sports guy who also was kind of weird, you know? And dude, 10 years ago when we started DJing was cool, like the music, but becoming a DJ was weird. Like my college roommates, literally, I told this story recently. They would go, oh, what are you going to do, Sherm? You going to play your boop boop bops like up in your room? I'm like, yep, I am actually, and I'm proud of those boop boop bops. And then we went to one of their weddings this year, and I DJ'd like the after party. It was awesome, it was so much fun, and they all came up to me and they said, you know, I think it's really cool that you stuck with it and you're awesome at it. And you know, fulfillment comes in unexpected places too. I think that's part of it as well. It's like you go for this thing and maybe you had a bigger goal or a shorter goal, and when you start like these checkpoints are always unexpected, and like I think that's the beauty of life to me. Fulfillment can be unexpected. Checkpoints, success can be unexpected.
Yeah, and to the thought about what you said, almost like the way I heard what you said is you had these friends that almost have met you now at the finish line of your DJ career, and now it's easy for them to clap.
Yeah.
And I used to take that super personal, like when I first would come up, like, why don't you guys believe in this?
Yeah, dude.
And I almost like wanted to build a business off of like my local intimate community support, but like in the real world, what sustainable business is built off of just your intimate circle? Like if I can't make this stranger and that person and this person
Mm-hmm.
enjoy what I'm doing, it's not a viable business anyway. And so I just love that these people have enough humility now to circle back and be like, okay, you have proven it,
Yeah.
and we get it now.
Yeah, and like you're saying exactly what I'm saying too. Yeah. One thing that people need to learn and know, especially from an artist or a DJ perspective, like your friends aren't your fans, and they shouldn't have to be. Mm-hmm. And I definitely held a lot of that against people for no reason. When it's like, how can you not want to support my dream? And you're focused on the wrong things. You should be focused on building a community that supports you for what you love. And you realize, like, I've been chasing the wrong people. I've been worrying about the wrong things. Like, doing me is what other people will relate to the most. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially as a DJ, bro. You know, like your first gigs are like, yeah, I'll get you the opening slot, 10 to 11 p.m., but you got to bring 50 people. And if you do, I'll give you $100 and some drink tickets. You're like, I'm in. Where do I sign up? You know what I mean? You're texting everybody. People are excited. You know, like you do it a few times. Like in college, it was awesome. Everybody came out to see me. Get to Chicago the first 2 years. You know, things are going great. Then year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, you're playing a lot of different gigs. You want people to come because that's fun, of course, to share those moments and experiences with people. And then they don't want to come, and they say they'll come because they don't want to let you down, but they don't come. And, you know, you just like, I ended up like beating myself up over it, thinking, am I not good enough? Like, is that why they're not coming? And you realize just like these people, like your old friends, especially on the come up, they're going to just look at you in a different way. And you have to respect that. So that's why it's so important to like foster and build your own community outside of that, and know that like, I call them like my firefighter friends. Like I have friends that are doctors. I have friends that are firefighters, right? Like they don't give a shit or know anything about music, but they love me for me, and that keeps me grounded, right? And I think everybody needs people like that in their life.
I mean, that's so beautifully put, because I mean, how many times are we showing up to our friends 9 to 5 and sitting down at the desk with them? You know,
they're like, dude, you don't have to be here, right?
Yeah, right?
That's so true, yeah.
But yeah, I think you said it best. Like your original community, your original friends, they love you for you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like all the extra glitz and glam that comes with it, that is for your clients, and that's for the community that supports that.
Yeah.
So I think that like, if I could go back into time and just like really tell myself that and believe it, I would have saved myself so many, number one, relationships, but also just heartache.
Yeah.
And just like discouragement from just being so negative, not understanding that like not everything that I do is for everybody.
Mm-hmm. It has to be for yourself, first off. What about when like you were actually getting into DJing? Like, so when did that actually become a part of your life then? Like you started playing gigs, got involved with sports. I mean, you've had a really, really diverse and illustrious career so far.
Yeah, so in my college experience as a college athlete, that's kind of when DJing started to become part of my identity. I wasn't terribly competitive in college, I'll be honest with you, whether it be injuries, mindset, whatever it was. I loved being a college athlete, but I didn't necessarily like really like relish in what it took to be extremely successful.
Okay, yeah.
And so I just really turned into the type of guy that wanted to be there for my teammates and give my best at practice. But then after that, I'm not really trying to get in extra reps. I'm going to be so honest with you. I don't think I've ever admitted that before, but I'm going to be so real with you.
I love that, man.
Like, I got what I needed out of the experience already. Like,
sure.
I got in the scholarship and did all that. And so,
what sport was it?
Track and field.
Okay, cool.
So much like lacrosse, it's never anybody's first pick.
It's so true. 100%. That's a very nice way to put it. Yeah.
Respectfully to all my track athletes.
Respectfully to all my lacrosse homies, yeah.
But from there, it's like, I think in college athletics, like celebration and party is a big part of the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, in college general, let me just be frank. I'm sounding super PC. Partying is a big part of college. For most people.
I think, you talk about like, I liked this part of it. People are like, oh, I didn't go to college for school. I went there to party. There you go.
Yeah, so I really, like, genuinely, I wasn't actually a partier, you know, didn't drink, didn't smoke, like, I didn't do any of that. And so when I'd be in these spaces, like, the entrepreneur in my brain that was developing, I really didn't have much utility. You know, I was the DD, but like that's only 30 minutes of the night. And so back when aux cords were still relevant, I remember the first time somebody asked me to get on aux. And I'm not suggesting that my music taste is incredible, but I do believe that some people have good taste in music and some people have bad taste in music.
Yeah. And you know who you are if it's bad.
And you know what? If you love it and you love yourself for that, like, I'm here for it. But don't get on.
Won't be letting you put on the aux cord though.
Yeah. And so from there, I just saw like the power of like how the energy of music can literally transform a room.
Yeah.
And from there, like, that was when it started to become that curious process, much like me in 7th grade at the computer, of how far can this go? And how far can I take this? And just not necessarily that I thought I want to be a professional DJ all the time, but I was just like, I just really want to invest in this and lean into this. And then for the first time since high school, in the way that I used to be obsessed with track and field, I found myself getting obsessed with something new.
Yeah.
And so it was like my college love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, you just took me back to kind of when I started actually DJing. It was like in the dorm rooms, you know, and everyone's hanging out before we're going to do something. And I'm just putting on the music, you know, the aux cord, right? And like, I didn't have like a good taste in music, I guess, you know, because there's so much to learn when you're growing up. But this was like, you remember, bro, the Wiz Khalifa days. Like, you were talking about Chameleonaire, bro. Like, Drake, Take Care. Like, it's kind of hard to miss back then with whatever you put on, as long as it was in that era. And I remember being interested in DJing just because I was falling in love with electronic music. And I went to see Avicii actually at IU in 2011 right after he released Levels.
Wow.
And it was actually mentioned in his book called Tim, which I encourage everybody to read. I know there's been 2 documentaries about Avicii, and I think they're good, but like the book really, really dives into who he was as a person. And it was really cool to reflect back on that. But it's mentioned in his book. He DJ'd in a cornfield in Bloomington. And I was like, oh my God, it was there. And that show, as cliche as it is to say, changed my life. And so after that, I started using virtual DJ in the dorms. And I was like how you said utility, that was always something like, I'm an extrovert, bro. I love to bring energy to people. My passion in life is people. And however I can bring the best out in people, that's what I want to do. And DJing has been that utility for me, is when I get to give people the experience they didn't even think they were going to have. And I get to give them a taste of what I think is good and then fuse it with, I think, something that they didn't know they wanted. And that's the beauty of like DJing to me. I've played so many different gigs, just like you, bro. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, festivals, clubs, like after parties, pre-parties, restaurants, day parties, I mean, hotel lobbies. And a lot of times I'm like, I shouldn't have done those gigs or whatever, you know, but I learned so much from those experiences and understanding people. And I really love what you said about like, what utility could I bring to this? And it's like, that's why I love the time that I live in right now, because this is like, that's what fills me up the most, is like that part of performing with DJing being my vehicle or my instrument, the mixer. That's how I'm able to express myself.
Wow, that makes so much sense. So, backstory, I got a chance to watch Sharon perform around the time, probably May.
Yeah.
May in Indy.
Yeah, at the Vogue?
At the Vogue, yeah.
Yep.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this production-wise felt like a festival, but in terms of how you interacted with the crowd, it literally felt like a bar.
Yeah.
And what I say that is, it's like it almost felt like we were there with you.
Yeah.
And so I can tell that like you have like a very diverse experience of gigs.
Yeah.
And I think that you can always see, like, I think as DJs, we think our first thing is like massive festivals, thousands of people, but like what stood out to me the most was how personal your performance felt.
Thank you, man.
And it's like no wonder, like now that I hear your background of like all these random events that you've done, where you being a personality and connecting to your audience was always the priority.
Yeah.
And then you just attach like a killer, he rocked it that night, but you attach like a killer like set list to it that's high energy and fun.
For sure.
Like it makes sense now why like the time flew by so fast when I was watching you perform.
Yeah. I love that. That's a very good review. We'll clip that and I'll put that on my website. But no, that's so true. And like, no matter how big or small a crowd is, like, it's really important to me that people walk out. Like, I don't need to be like the center of attention, because like I said, I've played so many gigs, but I believe music is like the greatest gift that we have in life. And there's so much music out there. And this would be a good segue actually into like what I want to talk about with AI with you. Like, a lot of people are intimidated by how much is out there. There's 100,000 songs that get released every day on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like that. And I went to ADE this year, and there were some really, really interesting stats about how people are consuming music these days, which is passive and active and both at the same time and neither at the same time as well. And I think if you're going to be an artist and you're trying to think, it goes back to what we're saying, like, well, what do I make? What's going to do well? What's going to go viral? What's going to get playlisted? What are people going to react to? You start thinking about everybody else, and you're going to lose yourself in that process. So like, yeah, sure, there's 100,000 songs that gets released every single day. Great. I only need one person to like my song, because then that person is going to tell another person. It's like I'm like the everyman, Iman, you know? Like, I want to make an impact on one person at a time. And who do we trust, especially these days? We trust our friends. We trust word of mouth. There's so much fake information on the internet and ads, and it's overwhelming, bro. So when it comes to AI, I feel like actually the biggest benefit for me is actually speeding up my process of getting to a point where I'm happy with the product at the end. Because as a creative, we're going to be our own harshest critic. We're going to be the last person to say good job. You know, like sometimes you feel it, like when you're producing or DJing, you're like, that was good, you know, but it doesn't happen as often as people might think. So I feel like AI has been the greatest gift that I've gotten, because I can edit my podcast easier. I can come up with lyrics for a song easier. I can use ChatGPT to like solve a problem, like with my cameras or something like that, you know, and I use it for everything. I mean, what's like your opinion on it these days? Because it's a hot topic, obviously.
It's a hot topic, and I think that a lot of times, like when people say AI, the first thing I think is artificial intelligence. But if we're truly being honest about what AI is, when I think of intelligence, the first thing I think of is innovation.
Yeah.
Right? The brains to come up and solve a problem that might not there might not have previously been a solution to that problem. But I think if you really use ChatGPT or you use Gemini, whatever you're using, what it's doing is it's taking knowledge that currently exists, it's aggregating it and now packaging it into a way that makes sense.
Yep.
Well, there are creators and there are curators, right? So a creator would create it, a curator will put it all together. And if you can kind of distinguish the difference between the two, you start to realize actually AI is never really going to be a creator. It's always going to be a curator.
Okay.
It's going to put things together.
Yeah.
Right? But if I still have that innovative soul and that innovative spirit of like, I come from like a gospel background, like a church gospel background. And what if like I want to fuse gospel, house, and country?
Sounds good.
The creator has to give AI that prompt. AI is not going to say you should just do this.
No way. That's human right there.
That's a human, and right. And so, and then what we were talking about too, we were talking about one fan. And I was talking about how your shows felt so personal. AI exists in a digital space, okay? But if we still have a Sherm show that we can go to, if we still have an IU jacket that we can touch, purchase, hold, and buy, always promoting, right? AI cannot replace that human experience.
Yeah.
And so from there, much like you said, like there are people that will manipulate AI and use it in ways to try to blow up and get rich and do all the things that we're not really in the real creative economy for.
Yeah.
That's going to happen whether AI exists or not. I think for those that genuinely want to be creators and want to be different, it's going to raise the bar of excellence now.
Yeah.
Because our processes are faster, our resources are higher. But then also too, what I think it does is, and this is the part that speaks out to somebody like me, like I didn't necessarily have a community and I didn't have resources growing up to be a musician. I couldn't afford personal lessons. I couldn't afford instruments like that. Like, yeah, I played saxophone in the band, but that's like what, an hour a day of training?
That's not enough.
You know, if you want to be a pro saxophonist, you need to be training for decades.
Pro anything.
Yeah, for anything, right?
Yeah.
And so what I look at that is, and I think for people that would have never had a shot to be in music or be in the creative economy, they now have a space because of the accessibility. And that just means something to me. And there's nobody on the earth that can change my mind about that.
Wow, I love that. So how are you using AI right now for any of your business ventures or creative ventures?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I don't really ever prompt AI to do things for me.
Okay.
I prompt AI to punch holes in what already exists.
Okay.
Right? So, hey, if I'm going to write this thing out, or if I have this business plan that I've written, show me all the spaces that could be a threat and show me the places or opportunities for us to get better. That's one way. But then also the other way too is like when it comes like mixing and mastering music, like I'm going to send it through AI and I'm going to let AI tell me like, is this radio ready or not? And what parts need to be fixed?
Yeah.
And then from there, either I can have AI help me or I can do it myself. But either way, I'm slowly refining that skill of being able to do it on my own because I have that resource that's almost helping me and guiding me through it.
Yeah, dude. It's actually wild the feedback it can give you about your tracks.
Yeah.
It's so specific. Like, bring the hertz down on this section right here. I would recommend using this VST for this melody instead. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. But like, it wouldn't be able to give you that unless you brought it something that was already created.
100%.
I think that's what people are like intimidated by, I guess, you know, it's like, well, yeah, it's just going to do everything for everyone. It's like, I don't think that's what it's for. It's meant to enhance your ability to be great.
Yeah, and I always think like the minute I start hating technology, it probably means I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they first brought guitars into the church, you know, like, oh, that's of the devil. You know, it's not a soul.
Bro, I know some churches are like, no instruments.
Or like the artists that literally like they would never play like in a MIDI. They would literally just record the sound straight into it because this is what real musicians do. But now you think about all the songs that are charting globally, most of them were probably created in a DAW, probably all of them, right?
Yeah.
And there were probably a lot of digital processing being done in that to make it be what it is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we've been working on a gospel album with AI right now. And
That's
so I'm sure
awesome.
a lot of people are going to hate it. But for all we know, this could be a demo that we now allow a real musician to sing on top of.
Yeah.
And then they have a hit record.
That too. I mean, that's songwriting too, to an extent, right? That's something I've been trying to get more into in the studio as like a tech house producer. I can whip out tech house tracks, right? Like, and they're good, and I'm proud of them. But like, I'm trying to elevate as an artist, and that's where I feel like AI can really be helpful for me. Like, why not use your own vocals, right? And like, say, here's what I'm thinking. Here's the lyrics. How can I hit it harder? How can it be this or that? Is the song you just released, is that AI vocals?
So I was actually singing.
It's you.
I was singing, but I created a persona of what I want it to be. So I'm doing all the ad libs. I'll probably make a video about it sometime because it actually is really funny because I really can't sing very well. But even in that process, like I'm learning how to sing better by practicing it and seeing what like AI is doing to my own vocals.
It's a teacher, right? Like, could you look at it as a teacher?
100%, yeah.
It's the female vocal one, right?
Yeah, so yeah,
bro,
you create a script and a persona.
I did not know that was AI. I did not know. Let alone, of course, it's you singing too.
It was me singing, yeah.
Wow. See, that's pretty incredible.
Incredible. And again, that's just accessibility that we would never have. But now what I say is, okay, like I have a soprano male, like I wrote a soprano male voice that was like the lead for the song. But now I have an opportunity to literally find that exact person to be responsible now for singing this track.
Yeah, and that contributes. We were talking about that before we went live. Like the music and creator economy is so vast. There are so many people that are experts at different parts of the business, or like, you know, the life of a track, right? There's the producer who makes the track, but then there's the people who created the plugins and the sounds, right? Like you could go all the way back. And then there's the labels and distributors that help market that track, and the technology in the back end there that actually plugs it into all the DSPs correctly. And then there's the marketing, and then there's the mixing and mastering engineers, right? Like there could be 50 hands on one track, which I think a lot of people, again, I feel like we're at this point, let's see if you agree with me, Iman, where it's like, maybe over the last couple of years, probably post-COVID, it's like a DJ, we got to learn it all. We got to be a graphic designer. We got to be a videographer. We got to be a photographer. We got to be a producer. We got to be a DJ too. I think AI is helping alleviate some of those things in a good way, because it's really tough from an economical perspective to actually make money as a DJ, an artist, a creator in general. It's just really hard to do. And I think that's actually helping people make more money by working with people, by getting it to a point like when they're going to get their hands on it, that it's going to save time for everybody. And I think the more art that can go into the world, the better. So I think like the efficiency aspect of AI, I think is really underappreciated. about how, like, I know we live in a world where things are quick. Amazon is there in a day, and fast food is there right away, and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to art, I do think that there's a fine line you have to try and find about, like, how do I get this out in the most efficient and quick and authentic way possible without losing the most important part of the process, the soul, like you mentioned.
100%. And I think like what resonates to me and what really impacted my DJ business, because I do believe that, yes, I'm a DJ artist, but it's also a business attached to it. There has to be, right? Was when I started thinking about myself as a corporation and not just an artist.
Okay.
And in no corporation, think about Amazon, Google. Like if we're thinking about Amazon, Jeff Bezos is not packaging books and like lacing them up and sending them out.
No.
In fact, he's probably not in any of his marketing. And so it's like, okay, why is like a DJ, do I feel like I need to be every step of it?
Yeah.
Number one, like that's going to keep me away from the purpose from the beginning of actually being a DJ and making the music. But then also number two, what I see is every time I want to save a buck or I don't want to invest into my corporation or my business, I'm keeping somebody whose dream and desire to do that thing away from their true calling. Because there are people on this earth that they exist to be the assistant of other people and take care of the logistics.
Absolutely.
There are people that exist to be photographers. There are people like us that at one point we thought we existed to be cinematographers and videographers.
Yep.
Right? But instead of me trying to like capture this and hold it all to myself, it's like, why don't I build a community around what I'm doing?
A team, yeah.
A team. And then exactly what I've seen from that, not to make this like some type of like manipulative like situation, but the artwork on that jacket that you're wearing right now was done by a student athlete, Ava Vickers from IU. Sick. And in that, I've seen her community now get behind the jacket as well and want to support it. And so like if you start thinking about your DJ business like that as well, okay, some young videographer says, yo, I'm getting a chance to video Sherm in Chicago at his headlining show.
Yeah.
Like, I want my mom to be there, you know?
Yeah.
And so now your team has a team of people that are also supporting this. And that to me takes it back to why we do this from the beginning, because we want to connect with real people.
Yeah, for sure. When did that shift happen for you actually? Because I know there's a lot of, new and aspiring DJs or artists in general, creators, that are so focused on that sort of stuff and they get in their own way. Like, did that shift come unexpectedly where you were like, I'm a business? Because I think that's so important. At Nexus, you were there, like, Olivia is very, very hard on that for people. Like, you really need to think about yourself as a business. Saying no can be a good thing. Upping your own value, your own self-worth is important. Was there a point where you were like, I'm thinking about this wrong, and how did you get there?
I think what it was one of my mentors, he told me, he said, Iman, always remember, they're not clapping for you, they're clapping for what you can do or provide.
That's good.
And think about our favorite basketball player, Tyrese Halliburton.
My man.
Shout out to Pacers, right?
Let's go.
Remember when he had that slump in November and December?
Of course.
And a lot of Pacer fans were saying, he's not the guy.
Yep.
We got to get rid of him. We got to ship him out.
Yeah.
But at his core and who he was still Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we go on this epic, crazy run, and now we're putting this guy back on a mountain. Well, that, like, I've seen that so much. It's weird how sports and music connect so much and how there's so much, like, similes and metaphors to it all.
Yeah.
But, like, once I recognized that at the end of the day, the product is really what people are getting behind, it almost made me, like, almost take it less personal. And it's like, you know what? If I can take myself like less serious, almost take myself out of it and look at myself objectively, I'm looking at myself like I am a product or service.
Wow.
And then from there, that's when you start to build the structure in your brain of like, oh yeah, I am a product or service. There's Iman Tucker, the man, the person, the lover, this guy, but then there's the DJ, like DJ Iman, who are all these other things, and they don't necessarily have to be the same thing. It's almost like an alter ego, but the values and like the character stay the same.
That is such a good point. That's something I actually talked to my wife about, like she's known me. She was my first girlfriend, bro. I took her to junior prom.
Congratulations,
Isn't that crazy?
That's such a cool story.
It is, yeah. We went to IU. We broke up for a few years. Just hard to be in a relationship when you live in a frat and she's in a sorority, And that was actually a really good thing for us, right? To find yourself, sort of. But we never fell out of love. Our wedding song when we walked out was MK17 because we'd known each other for 17 years and we met. Well, we met when we were 17. And we've known each other now we've been married 3 years and been since 2010. So it's been like 15 years. So it's been a wild ride. So she sees me. She knew me before I had a beard, bro, right? Like, she knew me when I was like the little lacrosse guy with the squeaky voice, all that sort of stuff. And she's given me great perspective in life because she has this view of the music industry. She loves the music, she loves it for me. But she asked me these really pointed questions that, like, I am scared to ask myself. What's the point? What's the ROI? Are you getting something out of this? And it's really hard to sort of face that fact. And now that I'm getting to a point in my career where, like, things are making sense. I have a team, I have a community, I'm touring, I'm making music that's successful. And it's the version of myself, Sherm the artist, there are definitely a lot of similarities, of course, than the guy who's sitting here and the guy that's on the stage. It's me, but it's an enhanced version of me. The person that I am on the internet is not going to be the exact person that I am as a real person sitting watching a TV show with my wife. And I think people need to really understand this version that you're creating of yourself. There's a fine line of authenticity and fakeness, but that's why, like, if you're so tapped in and enjoying the process, it will just come out. You know what I mean? Like, just something happens. And it's really hard to explain, but, like, what you're saying resonates with me so much, bro. And it's a weird thing, but I love that feeling. I love being in that moment. Like, my mom, she's so funny. Like, if I'm, like, playing shows and then traveling and doing this and that, she goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great." I'm great. Like, this DJ Josh Baker, he's really been blowing up. Have you heard of Josh Baker? Mm-hmm. Makes, like, minimal tech. Yeah. I'm sure everyone's heard of him now, but he's been in the game for a long time. And he said on an interview, like, he was touring so much and somebody goes, "Are you tired?" And he goes, "Tired? Yeah, of course I'm tired. But, like, I've been working my entire life to get to this point. It's time to celebrate it now." And I think, like, again, to go back to what I said, you never know when these lines of fulfillment or moments of clarity are going to happen. When they do happen, it's like such a good feeling. So, like, that artist version I put out of there myself, I get a win for that guy or that version of myself, and I also get a win for my own personal gain, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful process to be a part of, like, for myself. And I think a lot of younger DJs especially, they're kind of just like, I do a lot of programming in Chicago, like, for local DJs and stuff at different bars and North Coast and clubs and venues. And I'm trying to help them save time. They remind me of myself. I'm hunting for gigs, like, literally big game hunting, small, like, I'll shoot whatever is out, whatever I'm doing. Like, if I see an animal, okay, great. Fry that shit up, No. And I'll tell them, I go, like, you're focused on all the wrong things right now. Like, you're asking for, like, a gig you've already played 5 times. You want to close at this club for what reason? Like, what's the point? So I really encourage people to, like, ask yourself what the point of the reach out is and, like, create the demand for yourself as well. Think about yourself as a business, the product that you're selling, and things will start to make sense when you look at your artist career. Like you said, like, separate that thing from who you are and know that, like, this is a business that I'm building here that, like, has a mission, like any good business, bro. Like, I know you got a Kith hat on right now, right? Like, Kith is a great business. They do so many cool things that has, like, a reflection of the community that they serve and, the ability to express yourself and stuff like that, right? So if people can start to, like, look at it through that lens, I think it'll be really helpful and it'll save them a lot of time early on.
Yeah, like, so many connections in everything you just said. And if my intern, like, if you're watching this, like, I'm specifically speaking to you. He's a sophomore at IU, so I'm giving too many context clues away.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to stay aligned with what it is and who it is that you want to be. And it's okay if you don't know that up front, mm-hmm. but much like you said, like, as we're, like, big game hunting and we're shooting squirrels when really we're trying to hunt for deer. Yeah. It's like, be authentic and stay true to what it is that you want to be. And don't just take any opportunity, because what that could, it's like, if I don't want to be a wedding DJ, but I'm literally DJing every single wedding because of the cost, like the financial gain of it. Yeah. Everything, even if it's a positive ROI, comes at a cost. So now my brand is becoming a wedding DJ. Mm-hmm. Or if I don't want to be a club DJ, but Thursday through Sunday, I'm in the club every single time. I've seen James Hype talk about this a lot too.
Yeah.
It's like there comes a point in your career where you have to make a decision of what aligns with where I'm trying to go, and be okay with like the losses or even the quietness or the darkness that comes from saying no to this thing. So I would just say like, and it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, but just say, this is where I think I want to go. And like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, and another thing James Hype also makes a really good point about is like with music, again, even though there's 100,000 songs that are getting dropped every day, you get another chance every single time. And if you really commit to that, that's why like if you want to be a successful touring artist, you're gonna need music. You're gonna need something that helps you stand out. So like last year, 2024, I like put a whole tour together for myself. It was awesome. It went great. I went to all these different markets. It was the busiest year of my life. In 2025, I said, I got to DJ less because I need to focus more on the process, the product, the passion. That's good. The 3 Ps of life. And 2025, I had moments where I was like, like I need a gig. You know what I mean? It was like, I felt like I was falling behind, but I wasn't. You need to give yourself time to process things. And I had never done that, Iman. Like literally always go, go, go. I don't think, like even this interim I'm in right now, it'll be like 2 or 3 months without a show, but that's on purpose. And I'm just kind of letting these things come to me a little bit, like these thoughts. And it's really been a beautiful healing process for me because kind of just like putting myself in the dirt. But what I'm trying to say is I took what felt like 2 or 3 steps backwards when I felt like I was taking little inch steps, you know? But then I took 10 steps forward by playing less shows, making more music, building my brand, focusing on things outside of myself too, like Chicago Music Nexus, right? My record label, Hood Politics Records, like leaning into the community. Who are we helping? Who are we serving? And I was talking about this yesterday with a friend too. Because I do so many things in music, I've always felt like I should be further along in them. But I don't only do a podcast. I don't only do a music conference. I don't only DJ or make music. I don't only run a record label. I do all of these things. But the experiences and people that I've met through all of these endeavors are all starting to come together. And you know, it's been 12 years as a DJ, really 10 years seriously committed to the music grind. And now you get to the other side of that door where it's like, I was like, boom, 10 years, man. Is everything going to make sense soon? And then it didn't. And I was like, oh, God, what am I doing? And then I took a step back. And then now, next year, I'm in a position to take 5 or 6 steps forward.
Yeah.
If that all makes sense.
100%. There's 2 things I think about when I hear that. Number one is when you start thinking about corporations again, like I don't care what your favorite brand is, look at the founding date of it, and you're going to realize it was probably a long time ago. Number one.
Always.
But then also number 2, we're talking about like those lines where like sports and music cross. And I think another thing that was a big breakthrough for me was I was treating every single gig and I was treating every single season of my life as if I were preparing for the NBA Finals. Like it's all in. I'm working, grinding, busting my face off all the time. But imagine if an athlete tried to live like that. Their bodies would break down because you can't always be at
mentally
competition.
too.
Yeah, mentally. You can't always be at championship level. It's like when I started taking my life as like there's an off season. There's a preseason. There's a regular season where you really start to click and things start to make sense. And then there's that postseason where it's like, all right, we're all hands on deck, all money on the table.
Yeah.
And for musicians and for creatives, that off season might be a year. It might be 2 years where you're tucked away and you're just getting better at the process. And then once you get back out to doing your shows, January 10th, now you're in that regular season vibe of where you're getting the rep of who Sherm is moving forward.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like now you have a full book calendar of that specific offering, and we're in championship season and like really like shining through that moment. So like just like little like moments like that have been a lot of space where I found a lot more peace in the process and being okay with not all seasons looking the same.
Yeah, wow. Well, you know, I really like that reference because that hits so hard. I never thought about it like that. And I do think there is, like, from a structural perspective, like, as a guy who, you know, my mom's a lacrosse coach. I was always the captains of the team. Like, I was like you, bro. Like, I wasn't, like, the best player on the team. But I was the person who really wanted to commit to our mission, whatever that was. And that's like how I've worked my way into the music industry. Like, I may not be the most talented. And actually, I had a guy on my podcast a long time ago. He's an incredible saxophonist, speaking of instruments. I played the French horn, by the way, and I was the second chair. So that's my music experience. But only because my last name is Sherman, and all of these saxophones and trumpets were already taken, so I was last in line. That's besides the point. Another chapter in my life where things could have gone differently, bro. I forgot what I was talking about now because I was so passionate about the French horn. But
you were talking about just how you were part of all these teams. You weren't necessarily the best player.
Wasn't the best player, but the sports reference about like committing to it year round, but knowing that like there's going to be different levels of commitment and how you actually work in the off season still, but it's not the same type. And I know there's so many people in the music industry that love sports as well. So like that reference was beautiful, bro. Literally, like that was perfect. Because it's so hard to do. It's so hard to stay consistent. But don't you feel like sports, like going to practice, the community, your friends, your teammates, your coaches, your mentors, right? Like I've had lots of mentors. How you help other players get better, you know, how you collaborate with them, how you run plays together, whatever that is. Like, I think without that structure of sports in my life, I wouldn't be as consistent because it just feels good, like, and it takes a long time. Like, LeBron just did a podcast with Steve Nash where they were talking about, like, when was your prime, LeBron, right? He said it was, like, 2018. And so you never know when, your prime of your music career is different than sports in that regard, just from a physical perspective. But it was really cool to hear someone like him who's been in the NBA for 23 years, and he didn't get to his prime until 2018 when he was back in Cleveland again. So it's like, you sign up for this to do it for 10 to 50 years. Like, things aren't gonna click. I feel like, talk about the 10,000 hour rule, I think it's like 10 years. Like, things might happen before that are successful or whatever, but to really have a process and like for things to make sense, I feel like it really does take 10 years.
100% at minimum, right?
Minimum.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is like an okay space to segue, but the first thing it makes me think about when I think about DJing, we're talking about like the end or like when it's supposed to make sense. And I think for me, like work in itself has always been a means to an end, right? Mm-hmm. I can't say that every day I'm DJing, I love it.
I agree.
There are certain times where it's frustrating. There's certain times where it's like, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. And I think for me, like the coolest part about being a DJ is it's allowed me to be into rooms that I would have never been invited into otherwise. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we're talking about this jacket. We're talking about like design and some of the other business ventures that we've been in. I also think like as DJs, it's very important for us to, or even musicians, producers, whatever, it's important for us to understand like what is our North Star? And what are other interests we have that by being a DJ or music producer, that can get us closer to that thing as well.
Yeah.
You know, because like the purpose of work actually like in its historical standpoint was for survival. Mm-hmm. You big game hunt so that you can eat and live for the next day. Right? And so for me, like I love DJing and I'm so thankful to be in this space, but I also love design. Mm-hmm. I also love videography and I also love photography. And so it's like, man, I'm getting put in these rooms that I never would have been in otherwise. And so it's hard to say, maybe in 10 years I don't DJ ever because I'm only designing clothes.
Yeah.
And if that is my purpose for DJing, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have to be Avicii. I don't have to be David Guetta. I don't have to be James Hype. There's so many different tiers that I can fall in as a DJ and still live a very fulfilled, happy, joyful, successful life. Mm-hmm. And like the more I've just been okay with understanding that I might not ever have my own festival and well, my own like headlining show like Sherm, you know, that's okay because like it's not for everybody and it's only on us as individual creatives to define like what that looks like.
So true, man. That's like that imposter syndrome epidemic, man, where people like, if they're not the next John Summit, then it's not a successful run for them. And you got to realize, like, there's only one of them. Nobody wants another version of that. Like, it's just not going to work. You shouldn't want to be like someone else. You can definitely be inspired. And, like, the saying nothing is original is, like, that is always going to hit home for me, knowing that, like, those people were inspired by other people and they became their own version of what they were inspired by and drove themselves to a point where they found out what is fulfilling for them. I mean, I know John. He did not expect this to happen, dude. You know what I mean? And I think because DJs especially, we compare ourselves to literally the 0.1%. That if you don't get to the Martin Garrix level, then it's not going to be worth it. No. In fact, I am comfortable saying that if I don't ever DJ again, I'm really proud of the career that I had. I went so much farther than I thought I ever would. And I would always get so caught up. That's the tough part about it, is it's like you work so hard, and it's like sports too. You work so hard for these games or gigs that like really don't last that long. Like they're really a small percentage of the whole story. And that's something you need to understand. So that's why the journey actually is what it's all about. Like the process, how you actually like process the process, to be honest, you know? And I love that part of it. I think that's the coolest part that I didn't gain clarity on, because I'd have a good gig and then it would be like, well, how am I going to use that gig to get the next gig? Which is something you should do, but I was thinking about it as a way as that last one wasn't good enough. It needs to be bigger. It needs to be better. I was always looking for something that didn't go well. The crowd wasn't moving the way I wanted them to. Is that my fault? Or like my set time, right? Like just thinking about all the wrong things. So I think like when you talk about setting goals, it can be hard to set goals because like, yeah, you want to set specific goals. I talk about this a lot. Like, of course, one of my biggest goals specifically is to play like Lollapalooza. Okay? Awesome. That would be sick. But what if that was my biggest goal and I do that and I get there? And you probably can. Again, anybody can do anything like you said earlier. What's going to happen that next day when I go, just back to what I was thinking, that wasn't good enough. How am I going to do the next gig? Like, you got to set goals that mean something to you. Like I say, my passion is people. So how am I filling that passion? Like with people, for people, whatever it is. I want to make an impact on people. That's my goal.
Yeah.
However I can do that, I want to do that. And sometimes people get caught up in these really specific goals. And I think even with sports, everyone's biggest goal is to win a championship. But just because you don't win a championship doesn't mean you're not going to make it into the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So do something that matters to you and it will matter to other people.
Mm-hmm. And like what if you never win that championship? Like what if you never get to Lollapalooza? Not to speak that into the earth, but
no, it's true.
Does that mean that everything that you've invested into up until that point doesn't matter anymore? Like we were talking about that 0.10%. It's like the fact that we've gotten paid to do something we love.
Yes, dude.
$1 already puts us in a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
And so it's like, at what point do we start to block our own blessings by defining what that blessing has to look like? Mm-hmm. And so I even think about, even for me, just like how many like designers, you think about a Pharrell, like the back end of his career, he's working for Louis Vuitton and doing all this creative directing, but he was a producer long before he was ever doing
exactly,
all that
dude.
so,
yeah.
Or even like Virgil, like rest in peace, from Off-White, you know, and Pyrex, and what he was doing with Louis Vuitton. He was a DJ as well, and that was a big part of his life at one point. But like that's not even what we remember him as.
Right.
Like we remember these people as so much different stuff, and so I'd always say, and that's actually what I love about your personal brand, and I think what we originally connected on was the fact that you love the Indiana Pacers.
I actually do.
Like you actually love the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
Or my homie DJ 412, like he's been doing his thing on the internet for a while. His thing is like tea. Like he loves tea.
Cool.
And so we're talking about like communities and all this other stuff. And I think sometimes like as a DJ or as a music producer, I think so much about the music that I forget like there's a whole life that exists outside of the music. And so it's like, man, somebody might love your music, but I actually love your music first because I loved what you did with the Pacers and like how involved you are. And so I just think there's so many different ways to look at this career. And the closer we get back to being just real people and really leaning into who we truly are, it's like all these silly goals and like all these things we try to manufacture and make happen begin to matter less because it was all about the passion and the people to begin with. That was 2 of the 3 people.
There you go, yeah. And how many people and successful, let's just take like big bands or big movie stars and stuff. Like, you want to talk about how money doesn't buy happiness? Like, they have all the money, all the fame, all the success in the world, yet they're, like, the loneliest people, right? Like, these massively successful musicians, like Kurt Cobain, probably the greatest example, he didn't want fame, man.
Heck, we were talking about Avicii earlier. Like when I really
He
saw
didn't
that,
want fame,
when I
dude.
saw that documentary, and even like this actually is to my other point too. Like wicked smart producer,
Yeah.
didn't love the anxiety necessarily that came with being a DJ, but guess what? You do.
Yeah.
And so imagine if a person like Tim and then a person like Sherm like has a partnership to where people understand their roles and they start to think of it like a corporation. Like who's to say like he isn't still here on this earth? You know, and I'm not trying to go down that route because like that was like such a tragedy. But at the end of the day, like naturally we know where we fit in.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think like, you know, I was honest with myself. It's like, why, like, what are some of the reasons? Like, I told you, like, my goal, my passion is people and however I can connect to make an impact through that. But, like, I also do love the spotlight. And, like, I wasn't ever really willing to admit that because I felt like that kind of comes off as, like, selfish or egotistical. But, like, what I do with that spotlight, I think how I think about that is different than what a lot of people, like, I don't care about being famous or being known. Like, I don't need to be stopped on Fifth Avenue. Like, that would be cool, yeah, but like, that's not gonna make me feel what I think people wanna be famous for. Because that actually is like, not the easiest life. Like, I love the life that I'm building and how I connect with people. And that's why it's like, one friendship, one relationship at a time for me is like what really fills me up. And for people to be honest with what their goals are and knowing that like, if I'm not the biggest or the most famous, like, that's okay. It's fine. Like, you do you. And, you know, one of the things I talk about a lot too is like people are always complaining about TikTok. They're complaining about social media. They're complaining about this. They're getting old, right? Gen Z doesn't do this. Gen Z doesn't do that. You know, like, I don't know how to connect with these kids. And it's like, I actually don't think you're like hearing them. You're not listening. The younger generations want connection more than ever, right? And millennials, we certainly do as well. I think we underestimate what we really want in life. It's real connection. And I think this bubble of being famous and being rich, that being cool, is popping. I think it's already kind of popped. Like, there'll always be people that like want to read or watch E-News and know what the Kardashians are up to, and I think that's fine, but like, people want real connection, people want real authenticity, and that's only built, I said this at Nexus, like, everybody wants a village, but they don't want to be a villager, right? Like, how are you really building a community that either you've joined and contribute, or you're starting on your own and you want to bring people in? Like, you have to be the center of that community. You have to be linked arm in arm. I think that's really what's beautiful about faith too, by the way, is like just this belief that like things will go the way that God wants them to go, whether you like it or not, for whatever reason. And I think you only gain that perspective as well. Like, my dad passed away like 2.5 years ago, and there's only a few ways to really gain perspective in life, and sometimes it's through loss. And I think a lot of people say, why God, when something bad happens? You have to know that like things are going to happen outside of your control, and it's going to make you see the world a lot differently. A lot of people complain about the holidays because they have so many family things to do, and they don't get to do this, and they don't get to do that. And I might have used to say that, but now I say I'm really grateful that I have people that want to see me during the holidays. Not everybody has that. Yeah. So all that's to say is, the older you get and all these things that like you think used to matter, you know, like being popular, being cool, being well known, like I'm still that little dude who thought he was going to be in the NBA and likes Dragon Ball Z. Like, that's still me. And only until I've gone through all these life experiences and seen things and traveled places and tried new food and spoke different languages and tried to gain perspective, you just like, you kind of start to just understand like what the point of life is all about, you know? And yeah. I'm lucky to have a wife that like loves me, with a great dog, good family support. You know, we're gonna start having kids in the next few years, and like that above all is more exciting and fulfilling than anything I can give myself in music, because that's what really matters too, is like family, your support system, because none of this stuff in life is guaranteed, right? So yeah, I mean, fuck, that was very raw from me right there.
That was real, and yeah. I hope that like people can hear that and just replay that over and over again, because that was beautifully put. And much like I think we forget, we're talking about like, oh, the holidays and the things we got to do. Imagine if we like sacrifice as much to be of value to those people we're going home to for the holidays as we do for our career and everything.
Yeah.
you know, and so I just think it's really cool that you have that perspective, and, you know, we're still young.
Yeah, so young.
But at the same time, it's like there are people that go their entire lives without ever knowing that. And so
yeah.
I feel very encouraged by hearing you say that, and I can't wait to just replay that in my head over and over again. It's like, these are things that really matter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we were talking about faith, and I understand that like faith and scripture doesn't really resonate with everybody, but I think there are some certain like themes about spirituality and Christianity for me that I think can relate to everybody. And one of the things scripture says is it talks about birds, and it talks about how birds don't worry about what they're going to eat tomorrow because they know intuitively that it will be provided.
Wow.
Like in that regard, of course, they're saying God will provide, but okay, take God out of it if you don't believe in God, but it will be provided. Like whatever's supposed to be for you will be provided. And the best thing we can do is exactly what we're supposed to do. That's it.
That's incredible. I love birds. That's so true, man. And that's like, you know, the present is called the present because it's a gift. I feel like that's the same sort of mindset. And I try every single day to like live in the moment at least once, whether it be good or bad. In fact, when it's a bad moment, I really try and like process that. And that's only been accomplished through like years of therapy and just like trying to understand yourself and trying to be honest. Like, I don't know if people have done this because it's a crazy thing, but like the self-interviews that I do, like you don't have to set up a camera and record yourself. But look in the mirror and look into your own eyes and ask yourself a question that's, everyone's got a question they're asking themselves, or something that they haven't admitted, or something that they're hiding. And everybody knows this because you've seen it in movies, you heard about it in real life. When you really are brutally honest with yourself, as good or bad as it might be, like if you have an addiction or something, right? I think that's probably the most like far right way to be like, I need to deal with this. Or like, I'm in love with this person. Or like, I don't want to be a DJ, or I do want to be in fashion, right? Like saying that stuff out loud is really, really powerful with just you, because like as much as I talk about family and all that stuff, like you got to love yourself in order to be the person that people want to be around. And in my day job in logistics, I work with a lot of unhappy people. It's a tough industry. Truck drivers are treated unfairly. Customers are under a lot of pressure. I'm a broker, so like nobody likes me. So I literally, every conversation I have usually is to deal with a problem, and I actually find a lot of pleasure in helping people with stuff like that, because everyone I feel like likes to be negative, because usually it's easier to be negative because, you know, like it's just toxic. But I've learned a lot from the job and meeting people all over the country, bro. People like who live in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes those are the happiest people. Like they are just totally fine working at this warehouse and driving an hour home, like to their family, to cook dinner and to go to church on Sunday and like to watch college football on Saturday. And you realize like, God, we're surrounded by all these people that are posting and creating and like doing this and doing that. And it's like, da, 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 da. And I'm like, and I think, dude, like, so I was actually born in LA. That's where my parents met at UCLA. They were doctors there. And my dad's from New York, my mom's from Baltimore. She always jokes. He said we were going to be in Indiana for 2 years. 33 years, she's still here, right? And that's another thing in my life. Like, I could have grown up a Cali kid, but I grew up in Indiana. And I think sitting around a bonfire with my friends and having nothing to do and talking about life together and coming back here always, that's why Chicago, you still get a lot of that. It's made me, looking back in retrospect, knowing that, like, I had a really, really blessed upbringing that made me who I am. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Like 6 of my 8 groomsmen were middle school friends, some elementary friends. It doesn't happen everywhere, bro. So I just think about what's important in life and I try and trace it back to those early moments and the people that I'm with. And it's really helped me actually find myself as a creative, as someone that doesn't wear a mask, as a brand that someone literally, they're like, is your name really Sherm? I'm like, yeah. They're like, your first name is Sherm? I'm like, no, my first name is not Sherm. Some people think my name is Sherm Sherman. I'm like, what? Sherm Sherman? No, that would be over the top Jewish. No, it's Matt Sherman, okay? I go by Sherm. Everybody calls me Sherm except my mom, my wife, and my brother, and a few friends. So the point being is that I just like being myself.
Yeah.
and the variations of Sherm that come along with that, the Indiana Pacers fan, the DJ, the podcaster, the, music conference co-founder, the label guy, like they all kind of like exist in this world that I keep kind of creating for myself. And I think like, I know you get that. Like you do so many things, bro. Like this fashion stuff. You're an unbelievable fucking scratch DJ, by the way. Like sick, dude. And I know some Chicago DJs that can cut. Dude, you are really good.
Wow.
And like, I know DJing is a means to end for you, but like, I hope you always continue to do it because you're a product. I love it. And the cinematography and photography, like in one way or another, we're very similar in that regard because we have this thing that maybe we're known for, but people might connect with us in different ways because we're truly ourselves.
You had alluded to the question that like you have to ask yourself. And so I'm curious to know like what, if you could like walk up to a mirror right now and ask yourself a question maybe that you've been wrestling with, or you, especially as you move into this new season of music and just work, like what would that question be?
It's a good question, man. I've been asking myself the question. It's pretty broad, but it's like, what's the point? Because I've been doing it for a long time. I'm 33, I'm married, I have a dog, I want to build a life, right? Like my wife is someone who asked me that question. Like when someone says something like that to you, like it's almost like, well, of course I know what I'm doing. What's the point? What do you mean? It's this, it's that. But that's not the real answer. And that's why I said the point of it all is me realizing that like what I'm doing is working, and I finally am like willing to say out loud that like people actually want to hear what I have to say. They want to see me perform. They actually want to hear my music. And I've been really, really scared to actually like admit, oh my God, like, do people really even care about me? And that's the question that I asked myself for a long time. Because I was doing the podcast, it's like that 3 to 6 year mark was weird for me, dude. Like, I felt like I didn't know what the point was. I just kind of kept going. I was kind of just trying to figure things out. And then now when I ask myself, what's the point? I'm able to answer that by saying, well, through this venture, I'm actually really able to live life to the absolute fullest. Through these vehicles in which I can experience life, it's through these endeavors. And from a business perspective, though, too, like that's been a hard question for me to ask because I'm not running a profitable business, man. Like, it's really, really hard to make money in music. We talk about outsourcing and stuff. Like, there are costs associated with that, but it does help me keep going long term. I think that's what people say. Well, I don't have the money to outsource. Well, you're going to keep building mountains out of molehills then, trying to do everything on your own. So do less with more, or do more with less, I should say. And now, like, Nexus is actually a great business. You know what I mean? Like, it's making money. We're able to reinvest in making it bigger and better. And that's like, I wasn't able to answer that question until I just said, you know what? This needs to happen. I'm going to do it. And put in nonstop work, and you realize, like, okay, building businesses does take that. So I've been able to really be honest, like, with what is the point? Because I want to go full-time music one day. So I have to actually build the foundations to make that happen. And it's all fun and games when you're posting and sharing and doing this and that and traveling and losing money or whatever. That's great. But when the rubber hits the road, man, and it's time to actually make money and be profitable and make business decisions, that's when shit gets real. And that's what's been going on this year for me, is like, all right, what is the point? Is this giving back to me from a career standpoint or a business standpoint monetarily? So, everything's got a bank account, everything's got a credit card, everything has a lawyer, right? Like really locking in and dialing all that in.
That's
so,
real.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, man. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't expect to get this vulnerable, but I would say for me, the question that I would ask myself is, at what point does DJ Iman look at Iman Tucker and he sees that guy as enough? I think like my entire life, I felt like I've never been the first one picked. I've always had to prove myself. And even, having ran a profitable DJ business now for 4 years, sometimes I look at myself and I'll have an event and maybe the feedback is silent. And my first reaction is like, well, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And maybe everybody there had the time of their life. But if I'm not hearing that validation, I'm not seeing that return, I'm thinking like I did something wrong or like I'm guilty of something. And so, I would just really, I would ask DJ Iman to uplift and encourage Iman Tucker as much as Iman Tucker uplifts and encourage DJ Iman.
That's beautiful, man. That hits hard because I think that's how a lot of people feel. Like, when is it enough? That's what I was saying earlier. Like, why can't I ever give myself the credit? Why am I the last person to say good job? And I think it's because we look for validity and fulfillment in others when, like, the best place that you're gonna get it from is yourself. And it's so hard to do because we're working in a world in which people are able to judge, not judge, but like or dislike what we do. And the last thing we want, you and we don't want to be like, I would say like one of my biggest fears is not being liked. I don't know why that is, but...
Don't get into sports DJing.
Dude, I know. Brother, I know. That's what I'm saying.
You'll be scrolling through Twitter and you're like, wait, are they talking about me? Like, wait,
no, dude, I know. Like, seriously, it's crazy like
they
that.
Say they forget that there's like people on the other side of that. Yeah. They see that and there's like, like, that stings. But.
I know, you see that. I see that like on Reddit and like, people are haters out there, man. And I'm like, oh my God, And I think a lot of times, there's like a saying, like, you're at a point when you do have haters, right? And you're never going to get hate from people who are above you because they just want to support you. I think it's not always hate. It always comes from internal, from them feeling like they're not enough. I think that's a question, honestly, bro. Like, first off, thanks for getting vulnerable like that, because I think a lot of people are thinking that. When is it going to be enough? What is enough, even? What am I working towards? And that's why, like, there are so many people that are in the music economy that they figure that out at some point, whether it be early on or later on, where they're like, I love to make music, but I don't want to be a touring DJ. Or I want to be a touring DJ, but making music isn't my biggest passion in it. Or, I love being a DJ and love making music, but I actually like the production of the stage, like setting all that up. That's actually my favorite part of it. And being honest with yourself, because usually why you get into it for the first reason may not be where you end up. And I think that's what a lot of people get confused about, where it's like, well, I got in this to be a DJ, so I better keep doing that, but it's not actually filling you up. And and then you get mad at yourself because no one really cares. Well, obviously they don't care because you don't care. Mm-hmm. Like there's a famous Chicago DJ, his name's Derek Carter, and he has a very simple quote. He says, if I'm not up there enjoying myself, why would anybody else be? And you can see that. Body language is real, man, like body language is everything. Body language is energy. Energy is everything. And I think there are a lot of people walking around asking themselves, what is enough? When is it going to be enough? Because then they just keep drilling into the same thing when you're never going to be able to drill through that wall, man. And it's really a tough thing to get through. But yeah, I hope people actually ask themselves that question, because that's when you really actually get full clarity and you get that feeling of, okay, I really actually am happy with what I'm doing. I want to get better, but the things that I'm telling people I want to do are not actually what I want to do. And I think that's it too. A lot of people will put things out into the world and say that, and then they're embarrassed to take it back or follow a new path. When in reality, everyone's pretty focused on themselves. Right? Like, don't be afraid to switch directions or take something back or admit a mistake or be truthful about something. Like, you will feel better afterwards, always. Mm-hmm. So, God, dude, this is a good talk.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I feel like every time we talk, it always like I laugh with people about this. Like, it's always a podcast. Like, I feel like I'm always podcasting with people because I just love to talk. But like with real ones like you, like we just kind of get into it real quick. And I appreciate that about you, man, and your honesty. And dude, just from following you, man, I'm trying to remember. I think I started following you well over a year ago, and just feel like everything you're doing, man, is very cohesive, very cool. Like, you're a real one, bro, and I really respect what you're doing. And like, also, I'm fascinated by fashion and how you're doing that. And I think your future, bro, is like, we don't know what's coming for you, man. Like, but good things are coming. You're kind of like a Virgil Abloh, bro. Honestly, I'm not kidding. Like, he was a huge influence of mine, just how he went about his life. you know, like a Chicago guy, like a real guy, had a lot of hardship in life, but like always found his way. And, you know, his path was undetermined, but he ended up in a place where he probably least expected it. And I think that might happen for you too.
Wow. Oh, I take that with so much honor and just so much joy. And I think at the end of the day, as long as I can inspire other people to continue to lean into their best version of themselves, like it's all a win. And so, you know, all my life goals I completed by the time I was 26.
Yeah.
And not that they were that high, but just like everything at this point is just an added blessing. And so when people enjoy it and they feel inspired by it, like all I can say is thank you. Seriously.
That's amazing. This has been such a good podcast, Iman. We got deep for the holidays. We laughed a lot though. And yeah, we could probably do a separate episode about sports for sure.
We need to.
I think we should. Well, that's when we'll wear our matching jackets.
And then the jersey underneath.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, bro. You know, I got plenty of Pacers jerseys. I think I have, God, I had to clean out my closet recently, and there was I had a whole section of just Pacers stuff. I was like, oh my God, like, good Lord. Not a lot of Pacers fans in Chicago either. That's the funny part of it to me. I'm surrounded by Bears and Bulls fans, and they just, Pacers, Colts. I'm like, yeah, baby, that's right, yeah. They do think it's cool what's going on with IU, though, fortunately.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see. Ask me in about a month, and hopefully we have natty titles. So.
Let's go. Yeah. At least we got the Heisman, man. That was pretty cool.
First time ever.
First time ever. Mm-hmm. I know. I thought it was fake news. Literally, when I saw it, I was like, nah. What do you mean, Mendoza? Really? Oh yeah. Wait, that makes total sense. He absolutely should be. He's a good guy, too.
I think if people knew his character is even better than his performance on the field, they would, no question, Heisman.
That's why I like him.
I guess if Heisman was a character race, but...
Yeah. Well, he's like the perfect IU quarterback, I feel like.
For sure.
Yeah. God. Mendoza, I know you watched till the very end here, so congratulations. We appreciate you. Hey, what's up? And thanks for watching that video. You looking for more content now? I got your back. Go to my YouTube channel right now, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you turn on all notifications so you never miss any upcoming exclusive artist interviews, Sherman the Booth clips, new music, live sets, and more. This is your one-stop shop for everything electronic music. Cheers.